Ground control to Major Tom.
We've been expecting you, Mr. Boyd.
His is the worst voice you will ever hear.
Will he offer me his teeth?
The Tommy Boyds Show will teach you nothing. Nothing.
Always read the label.
Nothing but iniquity and wickedness.
If you really bug me, then I'll say goodbye.
It's Book Day on Talk Radio with W.H. Smith. Steve just called. He works for HarperCollins. He manages territory. Just asked us to point out that Executive Orders is a Tom Clancy book, not John Grisham, as was mentioned a few moments ago. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. The number is free call 0500 1053 89. You know, we have options in this day and age when it comes to any aspect of human activity. Options. Choice is what modern life is all about. But where are the options in modern death? You see, there aren't any. It's about the only thing that's certain besides taxes, as I'm famous for saying. But when we die, when you die, when I die, all that can happen is that you go in a hole in the ground, which is less and less fashionable, more on that in a moment, or you can be incinerated. And I just feel that there ought to be more options available. I genuinely do, but my own list of alternatives is a bit thin, which is why I wonder whether you feel like putting that thinking cap on. Free call 0500 1053 89. First of all, you may disagree. You may say that death is such a sacred thing that tradition is all, and that burial or cremation must remain the only two choices that we have. Well, if you want to bang the tradition drum, let me remind you that it's not long ago that in this country there were a great many options besides being buried or cremated. And in other parts of the world, there is a whole great, practically a brochure you can get on what's going to happen to you when you die. In India, for example, besides being buried, besides being cremated, a great many people are lowered discreetly into the river Ganges, and plenty of other folk, interestingly enough, this one, I think, are left at the top of a mountain by their relatives, just as the Native Americans used to do, so that whatever becomes to them at the hand of nature becomes the fate of what was once them. But let's remember, these are only our mortal remains. Free call 0500 1053 89. The problems don't end with burial or cremation, because the site of one's burial still becomes something of a place of pilgrimage for one's living relatives, and the site has to be tended. And if cremation takes place, the problem of what to do with the ashes always remains, and very rarely is settled entirely amicably. I refer you to Bridges of Madison County, or my wife's best friend, Pat and Paddy. Yeah, my wife's best friend's called Pat and Paddy. And Pat's dad is still in the wardrobe, in an OXO tin. He's been there for several years. They keep meaning to take him back to Ireland, I believe. I'm not quite sure exactly why. We tend not to want to talk about it, and this is the thing. We tend not to want to talk about death. You have to do it. It's worth planning it. Do you not agree with me that it would be nicer if there were a few more options available besides being lowered into a hole in the ground and covered in wet clay or incinerated? Think about this. You don't actually need a coffin for either, you know. I've never understood the point of having a coffin for cremations. Free call 0500 1053 89. I was listening to this station and Lionel Blair was being interviewed not long ago, and Lionel said that what he would like to happen to him when he goes is that his ashes in their urn should be catapulted into space so that they orbit planet Earth, so that his children can look up at the stars at night and say, "Good night, Dad." Nice idea. But why bother with the cremation? It's a seriously good idea, isn't it, for people who have achieved a certain status in life to remain available in all their material glory, their body and their image, up there amongst the stars, which is what they are. If Elvis had been placed in orbit in that white suit with the rhinestones, telescope sails would rocket. I mean, what more permanent and appropriate hall of fame could there be for dead superstars like Elvis? Free call 0500 1053 89. I once worked with that man who played Jaws in the Bond movies, the enormous actor Richard Keel, 7'7" I think he is, and something like 48 stone. An astonishing creature to meet. So daunting just to be in his presence. I asked him what he did before he was an actor, and he told me he was a door-to-door salesman of funeral plots. His pitch would work like this. He'd ring the doorbell in some Midwest town. A housewife would come to the door to be faced by this very imposing man, who would then boom at each of his prospective clients, "Good afternoon. I wonder, have you given sufficient thought to your death?" I imagine he sold quite a few building plots, burial plots. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Could we stuff people as we have with Dr. Johnson, whose remains can be seen taxidermified in London? Are you a little old lady who owns a cat? Would you be prepared to be turned into a meal for Smokey? Free call 0500 10 53 89. A final thought. We used to have a flourishing film industry in Britain. Way back in the 60s and 70s, we led the world in horror movies, Hammer horror films. I'm just wondering whether the advent of crematoria over burials spelled the end of Hammer horror, because people simply can't come back and do their evil deeds as ashes. But you remember all those wonderful films about zombies and ghosts and stuff. Just a thought. Free call 0500 10 53 89. The point is this: modern life is all about options, but where are the options in modern death? I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. We're discussing death and hunting for options above and beyond burial and cremation, which at the moment is all we've got. Stuart's on the line from Wrexham. You're on Talk Radio. Stuart, good afternoon.
Oh, hi, Tommy.
Stuart.
Love you and love your show.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I was just thinking, about 10, 20 years ago, people used to wear glasses and they were embarrassed about it, weren't they?
Yes.
It was sort of it wasn't a fashion statement, was it?
Agreed.
But now, I mean, people are really proud to wear them, aren't they? And they pay a lot of money for them. I
can name at least 2 celebrities who don't need to wear spectacles, but do, with plain glass in them, because they think it makes them look more authoritative.
Exactly. I mean, I've even considered it myself.
I'll bet you have.
It's very embarrassing.
So have I.
Terrible. But why couldn't funerals go the same direction? You could have sort of Gautier or Christian Lacroix. Sort of, your headstone could be designed in that fashion. Or the whole ceremony could be used in such, sort of go in the same direction as your favourite designer.
Okay, it's an interesting way of tarting up the traditional burial, possibly the traditional cremation. But we're rather wondering whether some other options ought to be made available.
Well, what about another idea I had? Actually having your body used as part of your surroundings, so that you could sort of build it into your home, into the well, every now and again you sort of hear stories about that somebody died and they built the site and they were put in the foundations or something.
Yes.
Why don't we celebrate that idea and include it in a sort of a design feature?
Have you ever been to Madame Tussauds?
No. I think I went to a little one in Blackpool once when I was younger, but not the main one.
Who are your heroes? Are you a sport fan or a rock music fan?
More sort of music, I suppose.
Rock music?
Yeah.
Would you pay good money to go and see Elvis if he had been preserved?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But not so much Elvis, really.
Is it a vulgar idea? And if it is a vulgar idea, is it necessarily disqualified, since a lot of people think that a great many aspects of Elvis's performance was pretty vulgar too? Isn't there something appropriately tacky about the idea of Elvis being taxidermified? I dare not say stuffed.
Well, no, because you'd go to see what he was actually like in sort of 3D.
You'd go to see the real thing, wouldn't you? Yeah, you'd go to see the real thing, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe even just be able to reach over and just touch his paunch.
I don't think you'd be allowed to reach over and touch his paunch. I don't think you'd be allowed to lean over and touch it. Look, they did it with Lenin. People are going to ring and they're going to say this is an absolute disgrace to discuss Elvis in those terms, but it was done with Lenin. I've been to Lima and looked at the mummified corpse of Pizarro the great conquistador. Okay, so it happens, all right? And Dr. Johnson is stuffed and preserved somewhere in London, all right? So it happens. Should we perhaps consider reintroducing such an idea? I think so. I really think so. I'd pay to see Lennon. Dylan calls from Windsor. You're on Talk Radio. Dylan, good afternoon.
Hello. I think it's Jeremy Bentham who's stuffed.
You're right.
Stuffed in the halls of University College London.
Him as well.
Yeah. And he's actually influenced me because I know exactly what's going to happen to me after I've died.
Which is what?
Well, he advocated the use of corpses to decorate their friends' homes.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to carry around with me an art donor card. Some people have like donor cards to so they can donate organs to after their death.
Yes.
But I'm going to donate my body to art.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you've ever been to the British Museum and gone to the South American part of it, there's an Aztec skull there, which has been gilded with gold and jewels. And so when I die, I'm going to have my skull on a mantelpiece, decorated as a family heirloom.
I think that is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
My former art teacher, when I was at school, his former wife, she remarried, and then the man who she remarried died, and she had his skull on the mantelpiece.
That's superb, yeah.
But he told us that she had to be very careful about how she got hold of it, because there is a law against that, isn't there?
No.
I think there is.
Even if you put it down in your will?
I believe there is a law against it. Your body does not belong to you.
Oh, rubbish.
No,
Belongs
it's true.
to me.
I'm sorry. It's, it's the law of the land.
Well, nobody will find out, will they?
I think that's the best thing. Say nothing at casual.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't say much, can you, when you... Doesn't matter. Dylan, thank you for your call. Free call, 0500 1053 89. Alternatives to burial and cremation. Sue's on the line from High Wycombe. You're on Talk Radio, Sue.
Hello, Tommy. Love your show. I've got a bit of a standing joke with my dad that when he goes one day, we're going to build him a funeral pyre in the back garden and burn him there.
Well, you say it's a joke. However...
Yes.
You're thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Really?
My dad is a compulsive hoarder.
Yeah.
He's worked in the furniture trade all his life, and everywhere you go in his shed, there are piles of big bits of wood, little bits of wood, tiny bits of wood, and I've told him that we're just going to pile it up, sprinkle some paraffin over the lot, and just set fire to it.
Listen, everybody's dad's like that. Does your dad also keep those little offcuts from the carpet?
Everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything. The entire house must be a fire risk because...
Small jars of nails which have been rescued from bits of wood.
He'll walk along, he'll pick stuff up off the pavement.
Yeah.
But having said that, Tommy, I mean, my house is an absolute tribute to him because everything that's ever been done in this house, my husband, sort of the spirit's willing but the flesh is weak, my dad does a lot for me.
Yes.
So it'll be a living testament to his memory.
Well, I think it's a nice idea. Our cat died not long ago. Well, it was brought on by football.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want to go into details. But I was faced with the job of disposing of it, and I did not know what to do. So I wrapped her up in an old bit of sheet, dug a hole at the bottom of the garden, and then I thought, no, I don't like the sound of this because of the worms, and maybe a fox will dig it up. So I poured some paraffin on and dropped a match on it, but nothing really happened.
Too damp?
I don't know.
You should have done what we did to our hamster.
What was that?
Our hamster was buried rather hurriedly in a bran flake box because it was biodegradable. I toyed with the idea of an ice cream sort of plastic carton.
No, you
thought that would stay there too long.
No, you did right.
So we had a bran flake box.
Yes.
And presumably it's still there.
Well, and since you raised the subject of funeral pyres, did you see the photographs of Pol Pot's funeral pyre?
Yes.
Wasn't that demeaning? It was a roll of lino, an old dining chair, and what looked like an iron bedstead. I don't know how that would catch.
Well, no, but perhaps it's all he deserved.
Well, maybe, but it didn't look... I thought the Daily Mirror did some good journalism that day.
Yes, but it wasn't all that artistic, I must admit.
No, but the point is that did not look... The photograph of the corpse did not look like the photograph of the man who, when he was alive, was Pol Pot.
Ah, well.
It looked a bit odd.
Who's to know?
Sue, thanks for your call.
That's right, nice to speak to you.
Thank you for calling. Free call 0500 1053 89. Where are our options in death? A hole in the ground or a furnace? Now, there aren't any pleasant options. All I'm saying is that we could use a few more options. Free call 0500 1053 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Talk Radio Book Day with W.H. Smith.
Tony He's our next caller, calling from Essex. You're on Talk Radio. Tony, hello.
Love you, Tommy. Love your show. How you doing?
Never been better. How are you?
Fine.
However,
Tommy,
it won't always be the case. I will die one day.
I think we all will, Tom.
We will.
Got a great idea for burials.
Okay.
Let's bury all our people in the foundations of buildings, and it's environmentally friendly.
You have to explain that last bit.
Right. Well, it goes like this. To bury somebody or to cremate somebody causes pollution to the environment. If you cremate somebody, you're burning gas.
Yes.
If you're burying somebody, you're probably burning fuel for the grave digger to dig it out.
Yes.
I'm saying, while we're building huge buildings, instead of burying one person, let's have a multi-burial. So what we do is we call in the ready-mix lorries.
Yes.
We pour some concrete in.
Yes.
Let's have 20 or 30 drop down. Let's have another lot of lorries in. Another layer of cement.
Well, I'm not a builder or an architect, Tony, although I do know a bit about it. I'm inclined to worry whether that would weaken the foundations of some of our buildings, particularly if you're going up a few stories.
Not at all.
Is that right?
They put in wire meshing to give it stability.
Okay.
It's called rack 'em and stack 'em. How do you like that?
An interesting phrase. Now, you're a man of the world, Tony. You've travelled. You read the papers.
Yes, I do.
You've heard of cryogenics, haven't you?
Yes, I have heard that in the past.
Freezing people so that perhaps at some point in the future they can be resuscitated and whatever they die of can be cured.
I'm a little bit sceptical about that.
I thought you might be.
Yeah, insofar as I've got a very good friend who's a superb medium, and he's been explaining certain phenomena to me, and I'm of the belief that your body is in fact just a vehicle for your soul, and I believe that once the soul has left that body, it cannot be brought back.
Possibly not, but the key word is possibly.
Well, we don't know much about it.
No, and as long as there's a chance, Tony.
But is there a chance? We don't know.
Well, there is a chance, yes, because we don't know, so there must be a chance. This is fundamental logic, isn't it?
Is it?
Well,
is
isn't
it
it?
Logic?
Yes, if we don't know, then there must be a chance.
Not always.
No, I'm sorry.
We know very, very little about ourselves.
No, let's focus on that one key point then, shall we? If we don't know, there must be a chance. It is only where we do know that we know there is no chance. When we're certain, you see.
But the problem is the human being doesn't know if there is a chance or not.
Yes, we do. There could be a chance. We know that, because we don't know one way or the other, you see.
Yes, but we are not intelligent enough or educated enough.
Some of us are.
Not me, Tommy, and I doubt if you are either.
Well, you're wrong on two counts then.
I disagree with you.
Because we can be certain that there is a chance that you can be frozen and brought back to life. We can be certain that there is a chance. It might be a slim one.
You're hypothesising.
Not at all.
Possibly.
No, I'm not hypothesising at all. I am on absolutely concrete, solid ground. I could not be on more solid ground than with what I have just said. We can be certain that there is a chance that you can be brought back to life if you are frozen.
I'm sorry, but I don't agree with you.
Well, you can't disagree.
I just did.
Yeah, but go through the... Yeah, but you're wrong. Go through the sentence word by word.
I have.
Yes? So what you're saying is you can be absolutely certain...
I can be certain of the fact that we do not know if there's a chance.
Yes, that's right.
And your argument is based on, well, because we don't know, then there is a possibly a chance.
You see, Tony, you really should have come to some of my logic lectures. Language is your problem. There's some small words in the sentences that you're using casually, and each word counts. You wouldn't make a solicitor, for example. They're good at this sort of thing. Nor would you make a very good politician. They're brilliant at this sort of thing. Words like may and possibly are crucial to what we're talking about here. I'm absolutely on 100% solid ground when I say that there is a chance that people could be resuscitated after being frozen for 50,000 years. The size of the chance is neither here nor there, but there is a chance. And the reason there is a chance is because we do not know.
Exactly, you are hypothesizing.
That isn't the point. That isn't the point. We're talking about the hypothesis, not whether it's a hypothesis. We're discussing the hypothesis.
Well, let's say you're correct. What is your next stage on from that?
My next stage on from that is that you're wrong and I'm right.
Yes, but of the content of your question, which was on cryogenics,
No.
that somebody...
No higher aim, really, Tony, than to beat you in the argument.
Well, one to you then, Tom.
You're absolutely right. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Not at all. Any time. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Marjorie calls from Canterbury. You're on Talk Radio, Marjorie. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Love your show. Love you, Tommy.
Why, thank you.
What I wanted to say is I'm currently planning my termination, death or whatever, I want them to do with me at the end of it, which is going to be in the near future, having had just recently a cancer operation. And I am going to order, I know where I shall get it from, a cardboard box. And I'm making plans, such a box can be buried in an area near Canterbury, in the grounds, and I can have a tree put on it. Actually, I don't give a damn what they put on it. You know, if they stick daffodils, bluebells would be lovely, but I understand the tree. And I should be quite happy about that. And I'm sure my children will. You know, when you look at some of the, when you go through the cemetery, which I haven't been for a long time, but I can imagine what my parents' grave looks like, an absolute damn mess. That's up in Liverpool. None of us get up there to see it or tend to it.
How are you?
Currently not bad.
Good.
Yeah, being well looked after at Canterbury Hospital, may I say. But I'm not looking forward to when there's no radiotherapy or chemotherapy at the local Kent and Canterbury Hospital. It's when you're ill, it's quite a way to go all the way up to Maidstone from here.
Do they call chemo radiotherapy?
No, chemotherapy is different.
What's radiotherapy then?
Well, that's the burning out, isn't it? And that's the burning of it, of the cancer.
Is it really?
Yeah, and shrinking. And as the tamoxifen that they give you today,
It's just being...
that's the shrinking of the cancer. Or it clots onto the cancer cells and sort of stops them, hopefully, getting worse. Then it gives you another cancer, often. That being of the womb.
It's a nice idea. You've thought about it. I remember
Oh, yes, I have.
the former French President Mitterrand was dying of prostate cancer.
Oh, yeah.
He employed a death counsellor to help him think about it. And they chose his burial plot and he went to see it. And I read a piece by him about it all. And he said it helped an awful lot to at least have
Feel
things
at
planned.
ease, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sure it would do, actually, yeah. Incidentally, while you're saying that, I heard the other day prostate cancer is one of the most curable cancers, I understand. As you know, one of the jockeys who goes on regularly to say his cancer is cured. But I think because he had the most curable cancer, that it gives an awful lot of people with different cancers, a false hope.
Yes, well... Men obviously inquire a little bit more into prostate cancer than many other things. And what I find myself being told is that it's not so much more easily cured than other cancers, but that it has such a long course, all right?
Oh.
That a lot of people men who have prostate cancer are likely to be claimed by something else before that one gets them.
Oh, you mean the prostate cancer doesn't come, it's been going on for a long time, but they ignore it, sort of.
It trundles along.
Oh, I see, until it's spread somewhere else, and then they come up as they've got bowel cancer or something. Is that what you mean?
Don't know, because like a lot of people, I don't want to know too much about it.
No.
But to be quite honest with you.
Well, I was quite surprised, actually, about hearing, I had thought today about Linda McCartney.
Yeah.
Now, I was a hospital and district nurse for a long time. I'm now retired. And, I have nursed many people. I'm not looking forward to my end, actually, because I have nursed so many people, men and women, in their own homes and, of course, in the hospital, dying of cancer. And most of them younger than me, by the way. And, the end can be very horrific. It really can. That is the only thing I'm not looking forward to. But I think, Grace, I hope whatever drugs she had, I'm so pleased that she was at peace when she went. But all I know is from my experience, I'm not looking forward to...
You are a wise woman. There's nothing more beautiful in a person than wisdom. I'm not bothered about the...
God, I wish I had plenty of that.
I'm not bothered about the angle of their nose or the swish of their hips. But wisdom is the only beauty there is, and you've got it in buckets. My wife and I just had a brief conversation in the kitchen this morning when the news came on, what they're up to in America. Why don't they let things lie out there?
Of course.
We just looked at each other, and I said to her, if it's me, you'll help, won't you? And she went, yes, and if it's me, you'll help, won't you? And I said, right, that's it. That's that conversation had.
Yeah, well, I do believe in euthanasia anyhow.
Yeah.
I don't believe in suffering, that's for sure.
Very enjoyable talking with you. What's your favourite book?
My favourite book? Well, I don't do an awful lot of reading. It's mainly articles. But what I did enjoy reading, I was doing a course I lived in LA for 10 years, nearly 10 years. And I was doing a course in college anyhow. And I enjoyed, and I still read the notes of them both. Brave New World, Huxley, of course, and Animal World. I think they're great. I really do. Yeah. And by the way, talking about corpses, I did see Tutankhamun, in Cairo Museum, and I thought he looked marvellous, absolutely fantastic.
You know what you are? You're about 8 radio programmes in one call, because you reminded me of a fascinating documentary I saw not long ago, which showed that the ancient Egyptians not only smoked cigarettes, but used cocaine recreationally. And since both of those substances can only be produced in South America, it was clear to the historians who were working on this that America was in fact discovered, and routine trade was taking place between America and the rest of the world 3,500 years ago, which was interesting.
Really?
Yeah. Lovely talking to you. Do look forward to our next call, our next chat.
Jolly good.
Thank you.
Love the programme very much, Tommy.
You're a nice lady. Wasn't she? Isn't she, I should say. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Let's talk to John, who calls from Ramsbottom.
Hi, Tommy. Love you, Tommy. Love your show. I'd like to talk about eating people after they're dead.
Now, is this glib, or do you mean it?
No, I mean it. It's a very distressing time for the family. So what you want to do is help out with the catering arrangements. Kind of include yourself in the buffet.
Include yourself in the buffet?
Yeah, sort of, have yourself made into vol au vent.
How would you do yourself?
Well, I'm thinking kind of vol au vents, but you could have a nice barbecue.
Yes. Well, what do you weigh, John?
Well, not much, only about 11 stone.
And you are aged?
19.
And what height are you?
I'm about 6'4".
11 stone and 6'4"?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to need beefing up with the hormones they use in the cattle industry.
I think so.
Otherwise, there's really not much of you unless you like offal.
Well, I've got some larger friends who could really see you through the barbecue season. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping, that they'll write it into their will. That I can have a leg, something if they die.
Do you remember the famous case about 100 years ago when 3 men and a cabin boy survived a ship which sank in the Atlantic, and the men ate the cabin boy?
Oh, yeah.
This actually happened, and the men were when they got back to Liverpool, the men were convicted of murder.
Yeah.
And I think they were executed. But I just wondered whether, if you were starving to death or dying of thirst in an open boat, would you be able to eat part of yourself to survive?
It's an interesting question.
I know, so I asked it.
Do you wonder what it'd taste like?
Well, could you do it?
I think I could have a go.
What would you take off?
A leg first.
You would? What, from the... how would you do it? Foot first, or go the whole hog and take it off below the knee?
Below the knee.
Because there's a lot on the calf, isn't there, even if you're skinny?
I think my feet, I haven't got particularly big feet. It wouldn't keep you going for,
you wouldn't get anything off the feet, would you?
No, not really.
No, the toes would barely be an hors d'oeuvre.
Would you consider having your bones and stuff, having eaten most of yourself made into furniture?
I would.
I think that could be quite nice, instead of being a grave somewhere, people using you as a hat stand.
People often have a very irrational fear of death.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing is more natural. But we fear it more than anything else, don't we? Do you believe that if we improved the range of options that were available to us when we die, because there's not a lot to burial or cremation, is there? And you're suggesting that we have mementos of our loved ones in the house. Do you think it would help ease our worries about death?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think I quite fancy the idea, rather than being made into the foundations of building, have you yourself ground up and used as wallpaper paste.
And finally, your favourite book? Since it's book day.
My favourite book's a Robert Rankin novel called The Most Amazing Man Who Ever Lived.
Mm-hmm.
That's about death as well.
Who did he decide was the most amazing man who's ever lived?
A man called Hugo Rune.
Hugo Rune?
Managed to pre-incarnate himself, so he came back as himself about 8 times.
Pre-incarnate himself?
He did it better each time. So
is that what it's called? Pre-incarnation?
Yeah.
If you come back as yourself?
Which would be fairly interesting. Well, probably dull, actually.
Wouldn't it?
Seen it all once.
Wouldn't it? Did you see Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
John, thanks for your call.
Thanks, Tommy.
Nice to talk to you. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Talk Radio's book day with W.H. Smith. We're playing authors and titles, and we'll have a winner there shortly. Mark calls now from Liverpool. You're on Talk Radio, Mark. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tom. Love your show. Love you.
Yeah.
Purely cerebrally, of course.
Yeah.
But I've got an idea, slightly contentious, irreverent, but go with me. It was regarding what you'd said about the decline in the British film industry, particularly with relation to horror films, and also with regard to the disposal of our dear departed. I was thinking of dead bodies are needed, and that way it would create maybe a lot of jobs for these new agencies, and would also provide a regular income for the family of the departed, and also a lot of posthumous fame.
Well, an interesting range of thought. You've been busy.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I'll go
Maybe
along
what
with
an
it.
idle mind gets up to, isn't it?
But yeah, it works for me. Yeah. Yeah, you see, they do have Hall of Fame, or Halls of Fame or whatever, don't they? They're big in the States.
Yeah.
And when I heard Lionel Blair talking about, himself being catapulted into orbit, I thought, well, go the whole hog on the idea, and have the actual people up there. It would work.
Yeah.
It would work.
It would.
Yeah.
Provided they don't all fall to earth again in 50 or so years' time. Mind you, they'd probably burn up on re-entry, wouldn't they?
You see, people want the skies to be more interesting. I find the sky at night very boring. Isn't it?
Well, I mean, Patrick Moore would have a few more interesting things to say.
No, he wouldn't. Exactly. The Sky at Night would be a great programme if he said that Elvis was going to burn up on re-entry at 11:23 tonight. You would be out there, wouldn't you?
I would. I'd pay to see that.
I would.
No disrespect to Elvis fans or anything like that, but maybe Lionel Blair I'd pay to see.
Exactly, you would. Mark, thank you for your call. What's your favourite book?
I've had to think about this. I think probably the Tidewater Tales by an American author called John Barr.
Mm-hmm.
Very good book.
How did you stumble on that?
Hello?
Hello,
sorry, the phone went a bit funny. It was, I just found it in a bookshop, read the back of it, liked the look of it, and read it. It was a thoroughly good read.
Thanks for your call. Rosetta calls now from Kent. You're on Talk Radio. Rosetta, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy, I love your show.
Ah.
Okay, I was saying I would love to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I blame on Adam and Eve, because we're going to die, all of us. And then one day we might resurrection, I don't really know. Well, that's what the Bible says.
Well, I was going to say, we don't have to ask you what your favourite book is, do we?
No, I wasn't saying that.
Hey?
No, I'm just saying I did read on there, and other people told me that's the same, I'm just saying that, so I'm scared of dying myself, and I don't like when other people die either.
Of course you're scared of death, we're all scared.
I don't know, and I don't like to talk about either. I hate when older people talking about death in new program, they don't really care,
The funny thing is we all cast life, don't
Yes,
we?
I know, but I still don't like it. I like to keep it quiet, just don't mention at all, Yes, I really don't like it. It's very upsetting when somebody dies, and I don't like it at all. Not even in my family, I don't like when they talk.
Where are you?
No.
You are from?
Italy.
Italy.
Yes, yeah. proud of Esther.
Yes, I'm a bit worried about your lot. I think they're going to come through on the rails and win this World Cup, you know.
I don't really know. So I hope they don't need to play together, Italy and England, because I feel a bit uncomfortable, really, no?
You'll support the old
Not together,
Azzurri.
because my husband is English anyway. He would love England to win.
Just for the argument, you'll support the Azzurri, won't you, dear?
Well, what did you call them?
The Azzurri.
Oh, all right. Oh, Azzurri, yes.
Yes.
You didn't speak properly, did you? That's why.
I'll be the judge of that.
Okay.
You're over here now, Mrs.
Oh, yes.
You're the one who's not speaking properly.
Oh, thank you.
Not at all. Richard calls from Margate. Thank you, Rosetta. You're on Talk Radio. Richard, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Love your show. Love you, Tommy. Well, I've got a quick story to tell you. In front of him was the vicar. And this vicar was a really slow-moving vicar. I think he was semi-retired or retired. And anyway, they carried on, and the box hit the back of the vicar's head. And the vicar went flat on the floor. And they carried on and put the casket on the catafalque. And they had to call another vicar quick to do the service. Hello?
Hello? Oh, sorry, I didn't realise that was you. Yata-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Oh, right.
They got right. What terrible business.
Yeah, but I tell you, some of the things he's told me that have happened at funerals, and he comes home, he doesn't come home miserable, he comes home in stitches, with jokes about what's been going on during the day in the different funerals.
Well, somebody told me the other day that they'd been at a funeral and the deceased had been a great fan of a song, but the only version they could get of it was by Max Bygraves. I don't know what it was, something poignant. Only whoever was playing the music picked the wrong track, and this person in their coffin slid down the conveyor belt towards the curtains to the sound of Max Bygraves singing, "You're a blue toothbrush, I'm a pink toothbrush, will you marry me?"
Yep.
Thanks, Nicole. What's your favourite book, by the way?
Well, I've got two. I like Cain and Abel and the whole of that series, but my favourite is Selected Poems by John Mansfield.
John Mansfield. That's nice. You haven't had a collection of poetry nominated so far. Thanks, Richard.
Pleasure.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. Well, talking about death, just wondering whether we could improve the range of options you have when your time is up, because it would be nice to have a wider choice, wouldn't it, than merely being put in the ground or incinerated? I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Ian in Oxford gets the last word on this afternoon's topic. You're on Talk Radio. Ian, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, Tommy. Love your show. Tommy, options on death.
Yes.
Well, it's one that appeals to me. I don't know whether it's possible or not, but to be vacuum packed, rather like your kippers from the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can see the advantages on it, certainly over something like taxidermy. There's probably be very little smell and rather little decay as well.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly your relatives could see you around for quite a long time. The only problem with it that I can see is obviously when you've outlived your relatives to a certain extent and they don't know who you are, there's going to be quite a few of these sort of vacuum-packed bodies lying around that nobody recognises anymore. So really then you've got to start to think about perhaps what you're going to do with them all. And some suggestions maybe you sort of, if you drive a rear-wheel car, sort of stick one in the boot of your car in case it's icy, stop you skidding so much, or leave them in the road as sleeping policemen as sort of traffic calming measures,
Or
something like that.
buses could have them to park up against the boot if the bus has broken down. At the moment,
Absolutely.
They have to see, Ian,
Well,
thank
you've
you.
got to do something with it, so
Ian,
yeah.
It's disgraceful stuff, Ian. I'm grateful.
Thanks very much.
And your favourite book?
Oh, anything by Stephen King, I think. I like a good, scary one.
All right. Tommy Knockers was good, wasn't it?
Oh, excellent. Yeah,
Excellent. Thanks for your call.
You're welcome. Cheers.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. Book day on Talk Radio with W.H. Smith. And in the next hour of the programme, we discuss messing about on the river. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comment too if you wish. Even slap your legs and make a purchase from Ann Summers. But don't do nothing.